Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and is that DankPods? Now I will admit that as hilarious as it is to just iPad DankPods, if you take just a second to look at the channel, you will see that I am nothing like, a standard DankPods episode, but I mean it is hilarious, right? If I remove this and we just have, let's say an iPod. Now this actually more resembles like an older Hugh Jeffries video or I guess we could also, maybe do this instead. But it's hilarious how just one thing, one idea immediately turns into something that is basically universal at this point. This is me actively checking YouTube Studio pretty much 24/7. Boom. So if we go over to the YouTube channel here, we have original here for a reason, because I try to make different content, obviously within the tech ecosystem here, but I try to make different styles of content. Obviously, house phone here is the newest, the newest upload, at least as when I'm recording this, and we have house phone right here. But basically, for the longest time, it's always been about I actually started off with mainly just iOS devices, so basically tutorials and, focusing on older iOS. And then after that, I started to also focus on the older Macs and then older PCs, and as of more recently, my retro hi-fi equipment, as well as my game console collection with the video games. And yes, I know, that's kind of the whole point because it's hilarious. But before we focus more on the YouTube stuff, because I do want to talk about this and kind of the history of the channel itself, the title itself is also true, but we will also discuss that. I just want to say that I do appreciate all the comments that you guys leave. There was man, DankPods sure is different today, or where's the puck cell or something. It's hilarious to see all the comments here. But the main reason why I wanted to do a style of video like this is to just, do something a bit more relaxed. If you haven't noticed, these two videos are over 50 minutes long, and for every minute that I record, a rough estimate would be probably 5 minutes if you factor in recording and editing, because sometimes I have to take multiple takes. Sometimes I will spend forever within Final Cut. So yeah, it's taken me quite a while to get all of these videos out for you guys. But the funny part is that the moment I made my first reaction video, or not the RAM one, but the moment I made my first reaction video, that's when the channel really started to take off. I'm not doing this because I want to copy DankPods. In fact, I've actually made references to other YouTubers in the past, or in my past videos as well, such as, "Hey smokers, knockoff Jiraka1 here, and in today's video we have a hard drive," because, he deals with SSDs. I usually have more hard drives. There is no one set style of video that I make. It's all different, but we all still have a common theme here. It's almost always going to be about retro technology and just having fun with these older Apple devices. I mean, we have the Apple Cinema display in the background here with the matching keyboard and the mouse off to the side. But basically, I just want to make the content that I enjoy making and that I hope you guys will enjoy as well. So I don't want anyone to think that, oh, I'm trying to get off the success of DankPods or whatever. I'm just having fun. I'm free to use my iPad, right? This is an iPad too. I do use this. Sometimes I will just use it for YouTube. Sometimes I will use it for saving apps. I just want to have my iPad here while we talk about cool old tech stuff. I know it's not going to replace HP, AMD, iMac ripoff, or the Sony setup. I'm really happy with how all the videos turn out. But the funny part is that with something like restoring wireless ball technology, as of when I'm recording this got, I think this is accurate. This might be a bit off because it is older YouTube, but let's just say roughly 500 views. This got 800, and the setup is right over there. Now you can watch this as well if you want to see the entirety of the setup in action, which oftentimes I am showing the entire setup. What you see here is what I use on a regular basis, at least for the retro technology. And yeah, that is a G5 with CAD technology. This is part of the desk setup now. Now, I realize that I'm probably going to ramble a bit in today's video, but I just have a lot that I want to share with you guys. But I think what I'm trying to say here is that with something that, these videos here, or even like the Power Mac Marathon, these took a long time to complete. And actually, now that I think about, like I said, 5 minutes as a rough estimate, it's probably way more compared to that, because this is 55 minutes, right? I think I actually had like over an hour and 30 minutes of raw footage that I had to process down. And trust me, you're not really missing anything. It's just mainly just cutting out the parts which are not adding any value at all. It takes a really long time for me to complete a video, like depending on what it is. And then on something like a reaction video, it takes me significantly less time because it's a different type of video. But it's usually, like I said, the reaction videos have actually been more successful, but it's also been beneficial in a good way. Like, I'm not going to change into a reaction channel only type of content. Like, it is the content that many of you guys have probably discovered me from, and if you enjoyed the actual tech content, that's what you stayed around for. And even though these may have fewer view counts compared to other videos, I still put the most effort that I can possibly add into every single video that I make, even though it may not be perfect all the time, and I'm still learning along the way. I really do enjoy making these videos for you guys, and I can only hope that you guys enjoy them as well. Now, I know that whenever I started watching YouTube, it was always exciting to see a new upload from a new YouTuber. And I gotta say that back when I started watching, especially with, YouTubers like LGR, 8-Bit Guy, later on Hugh Jeffries with his iPhone content, like the list goes on and on with different YouTubers that I've watched in the past. But in some way, shape, or form, they have motivated me to make my channel here. And if you guys actually get excited for a new upload, then I guess I have now become the YouTuber that, or I guess I shouldn't say that it's like full circle, but I think you know what I mean. Now, I can only hope that you guys enjoy it. It seems like you guys really do. And I'll admit, it's not perfect. Like I said, I'm still learning. Really early on, when I was still learning Final Cut, it's a bit rough. I won't lie. I've gotten a little bit better, but I've also, when you record videos, you also tend to notice how other people make their videos. Before, I wouldn't really pay any attention to transitions or audio effects or anything, but a lot of the time now, I tend to notice that, which is something that never happened before. So it's like, oh, they did a fade to other clip transition or whatever, but I usually tend to do a cube transition or some kind of other movement. But I guess, it's just interesting. We are using this desk right now to record today's video. And yeah, I mean, the common trend here is not American DankPods. It is, of course, Steve himself, and I guess also House Phone, being a regular special guest. But yeah, it's always going to be about older technology or reactions to, interesting tech videos. This one right here is a reaction to a Hugh Jeffries video where he got, a whole bunch of iOS devices. That was a really cool video to watch. I've been watching him for as long as I can remember, and it's always cool to see how he was able to restore iOS devices, restoring an iPhone 3GS or an iPhone 4 or whatever. It's always cool to see this older tech content, and like I said, it's partly why I wanted to start this in the first place. There's also V-Westlife with the really older stuff. There's just so many cool, awesome tech channels out there, and if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be making videos in the first place like this. And I guess we should finally address the title, right? So whenever DankPods started to become really popular, I was a bit jealous. I won't lie. If you have your own YouTube channel and, you constantly compare with other YouTubers, you check their statistics, you're bound to be a little jealous of them. Even today, Techmoan, he's another good example. He has so much awesome retro tech. I am a bit jealous of his hi-fi setup. It's awesome to watch the videos, right? But you shouldn't really focus on someone else's achievements when you're still trying to work with it. Now, I'll have to go really far back here with the older uploads. At this point in my YouTube history, when I started making more videos about the entire iTunes setup here, this is when I really started to realize that, people aren't just watching just to look at the cool stuff. They're also watching because I'm the one talking about the cool stuff. Like initially I wanted it to be more neutral, more, I guess you could say, just professional. I still try to maintain some professionalism within, the video quality, at least. I mean, with some of the videos here, I deliberately use I use old iPhones on purpose, not only because it's fun, because it's also a good example of a real-world demonstration of showing off the capabilities of the video camera itself. Like with the iPhone 5 here, this still shoots in 1080p. I think this one, maybe this one as well, these were recorded with this iPhone right here. So, that was something that took quite a long time for me to realize. Another thing that I realized later on is having really good headphones was a very nice thing. Like, I won't lie, the Audio-Technica studio monitors that I have was awesome to have, but it also impacted how much I really notice on the audio. Now, of course, there's bound to be background noise, and I'm using an iPhone 6s and the built-in microphone, so it's not going to be perfect. But there's bound to be background noise, and the more I started to learn about Final Cut, the more I really started to focus on the audio levels and trying to make it as perfect as possible. So, removing, pauses, whatever, to a certain extent, it does work, and to a certain extent, it was also a bit, too much. So I started to also, that right there. I might, in the past, I would have removed completely everything. But then I realized that most of the time, I'm not using the studio monitors to watch YouTube in the first place. It's usually going to be a built-in speaker, or it's going to be Apple EarPods. And even though those are decent, they are by no means studio level equipment, right? So to a certain extent, you obviously have to edit. I'm way faster with Final Cut now. I've literally been using it for years at this point. I still have a lot to learn with it because there's a lot of cool things that you can do with it. But just general editing, fixing audio levels. In fact, I usually boost the iPhone audio whenever I record with an iPhone. It still might not be enough, but I also don't want it to be over, so you have to find a good balance. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's awesome to see you guys, hit subscribe, see the number increase. You guys want to see more content, which is awesome. I enjoy making the content. You can't go wrong with house phone, right? We can open up the party zone here and play some music because the Mac Pro is powered up right now. Now, how awesome is that? 2009, 2012, still works to this day, and it also does help that I'm using a 2006 Mac Pro with an older version of iTunes, but I mean, this is still superior. So what was I saying? YouTube itself, it's awesome. I can't wait to make even more awesome videos for you guys. This has basically been the main thing that I've been focusing on for years, and it's important to realize that it's easy to look at someone else's success, like I said, but how are you going to achieve that if you don't begin? I think by the time that DankPods got, I don't really remember the statistics, but it's probably whenever he got 100K, I got my first 100 subscribers. I even have a 100 subscriber special if you go back in the channel history, and it was awesome. And the main reason why I started this in the first place, initially, like I said, it was the iOS stuff, and then I think it was tutorials. Some of the tutorials are really out of date nowadays because the YouTube fix doesn't really work anymore, like for iOS 5. There are new things that have happened with old iOS because there's App Store needs to be fixed. I realized that the tutorials are nice. Personally, I would like to have more tutorials because sometimes I actually did reference my own tutorials in the past, but it just takes forever. I don't know, it just wasn't the same feeling as something that, I had a lot of fun with the Sony setup, even though the HP itself took me forever with Windows 7. I'm really glad that I finally got to deal with this because, as I said in this video, I literally have that computer, it was sitting for years and I never made use of it. Another reason as to why Power Mac Marathon exists is because not only do I get the computers up and running, you guys get to see them working as well. So instead of just focusing on it off camera, I get to bring you guys along, you know, see the progress before and after. I mean, achieving enlightenment with the Power Mac G4. The Power Mac itself was in, I mean, it wasn't in terrible shape, but it was very dusty, so I cleaned it up. I showed you guys the before and after, and then we got it up and running with this. Man, I really hope I'm not repeating anything, and I'm trying to keep this all, like, in my head, like, before and after, but I might have a Steve boom moment.
Boom, boom, and boom,
Boom.
boom.
I also do try to respond to as many comments as possible, but whenever videos get more views and more comments, it is a bit difficult, like, I won't lie. Writing out a full comment, even though it may seem easy, I mean, it adds up, and sometimes I just don't have the time for it, but I do try to read as many of the comments as I can possibly read, and in the past, just one comment was unbelievable, and then as soon as I upload a video, there's like several comments there, which, like, I never could have imagined that in the past. I mean, at this point, I might even make some reactions of watching the old Apple keynotes. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work about copyright, though. It's taken me a long time to get to where I am right now. I mean, I never could have imagined it. I was always hoping to achieve what we have right now, but actually seeing it in person is... all I can say is thank you guys. Like, I cannot thank you guys enough for this. By the way, the PS1 icon here, I never intended it to be like the permanent YouTube channel icon, but I think it was the icon that I chose back when I made the channel, like, or at least when I started to upload, right? So all this time, and it's still the same, and at this point I'm just gonna leave it because it's funny, this entire time, and we've never even actually talked about the PS1 yet, at least as of when I'm recording this. Now, I know that we've talked about game consoles here, but the console that we talked about in this video was the PlayStation 2, not the PlayStation 1. But to recap, I got motivated by other YouTubers in the past, and I still watch them to this day. Like, you know, like I said, LGR, 8-Bit Guy, all the classics from back then who still upload now. It's really awesome to see the success that they've achieved, because I believe that they're over 1 million. I mean, there's other YouTubers that have also, you know, Action Retro is a good example. I think he got pretty popular around the same time as DankPods. Way more compared to me. He's also been pretty much uploading non-stop. And YouTube itself, even though it may appear easy, like, this is probably, like, mentally one of the most difficult things that you can pursue, because it's all fun and games, but you still gotta learn, you know, video editing, you gotta record, you have to have the equipment. I mean, here I'm using old tech for a reason, because, you know, that's kind of what we do around here. But the most important thing is consistency. At least, you know, having somewhat of a regular upload, not necessarily schedule, but just uploading whenever, whether it be a schedule, whether it be just, you know, you decided to upload that day. I always want to, like, whenever a video gets to a point where it's a couple days old, I always feel like I need to upload again. But I gotta say that probably, like, after all this time, the toughest part is having a video ready to go and ready to, you know, upload it. Now, there was a point where I actually had, like, multiple videos scheduled, and that was awesome. Like, it was super nice. And the issue with that is, well, even though there's nothing wrong with having videos ready to go, the issue is that I kind of just took like a break. I'm trying to manage my time way more efficiently now. But let's say, like, the first couple of years like the first couple of years of uploading, I would have like a video or two ready, and then, oh, you know, I could probably make another video, but, you know, take a break. And yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the old uploads and you pay attention to when they were uploaded, now sometimes I just didn't have said time to record. Now, there is nothing wrong with taking a break, like a day or two off from just any video editing or recording. It's very good, especially with keeping, like, refreshing your mind, you know, keeping things fresh. But you also have to start recording again at some point, or otherwise you're gonna lose the upload streak that you have. And I will say that I've tried multiple times in the past. I think this is probably the most, or it definitely feels like the most amount that I've been uploading. There was a gap between the 2003 desk setup, but once I started again with the XP Dell system and on from there, like, all of these I've been trying to upload almost as regularly as I can possibly achieve. It is also a bit difficult whenever you want to keep some level of quality. Like, I don't want this to be just slop, right? I mean, it's no AI slop, that's for sure, but I still want to make it a good viewing experience. And I realized that, just having an iPad here, I mean, we're not talking about old software, but at least we can see that old YouTube is working, right? Sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't work, but it's just another part of old iOS. So you basically just have to refresh the tweak this time. It is working. But yeah, even with some of the projects here, which take me a while to do, fortunately, I have other projects that take less time because, like I said, I'm really happy with how the Sony video turned out, and fortunately, I was able to complete this with less time. Dell AMD iMac, not Dell, HP AMD iMac took way more time, but I'm still happy with how this turned out. I don't really know how to wrap this up. I feel like I talked a lot and also not a lot at the same time, but I just had some ideas in my mind and I just wanted to share it with you guys. This has got to be one of the most difficult and also most rewarding jobs to ever exist, because where else am I able to use, restore, old iOS here? Like, anywhere else, this is considered junk, basically. Like, how are you going to use this in a modern environment? And here I am using said junk, and it's fantastic. I think this is one of the earliest iPods I had. Like, this was only a couple of years old when I got it, and it's more than double that now. So I was way into the iPod game before DankPods, whatever videos started to blow up. In fact, I was so dedicated that I even have a screen protector on this, and you can see that it is quite scratched up. Fortunately, we now have multiple Macs, multiple iPhones. I mean, I got an iPhone 4 right here that I'm charging right now. This one I use pretty regularly as a camera, and I think I used it for, which one was it? I think it was this one that I used to record with it. It definitely, the retro Macs keep me sane in this modern slop world video. I know that I can make even more use of these older devices, but I'm not just saying that I use them and then put them off to the side. Like, I try to use these. I will admit that compared to modern solutions, it can be a bit more difficult to set up, but it's also part of the fun, right? Jailbreaking, just, slide to unlock. And I also really do like the iOS 8 and iOS 9 music interface, at least with my iTunes version. But here I am rambling off into other parts, this was supposed to be how YouTube is very difficult, but it's also very rewarding, because if I didn't start this, I mean, you guys wouldn't be watching today's video, you guys wouldn't be watching the other videos that I've made in the past, I wouldn't be reading your comments right now. But yeah, this is definitely extremely, easy in some ways, very difficult in other ways. I always have to try and create new ideas. House phone, I actually made this in 2 seconds, because whenever I started using House as, an addition for the reaction videos, I thought it would be a funny addition, and it has unironically become a solid part of the channel now. So I think it was he was first introduced in the My Power Mac G5 died video, and House phone is not going anywhere. You may look at my channel and see that I have, as of when I'm recording this, 7,300 something subscribers. I don't think this activates or shows updates in real time, again, because of YouTube, but it is 7,300. And you may think that I'm a large channel, but again, I've been doing this for years. The reaction videos, which I thought would be not popular at all, ended up I mean, the rest is history, right? But it goes back to what I said. You shouldn't compare yourself to, at least in this case, other YouTube channels, because I was just starting out. Admittedly, I was making videos for a while at that point, but they were, I'm not going to say complete garbage, because it was also a learning experience. But compared to the newer ones, at least these are actually watchable. At least I hope they are. So yeah, if you have a channel with like 100 or 50 subscribers or something, you see mine, you think that I'm a large channel, just keep in mind I've been doing this, like I said, for years. You just have to look at my upload history. And the same thing goes for other YouTube channels. I mean, 8-Bit Guy was originally iBook Guy, and it's mainly just because he was making videos about the iBooks that he was restoring back in the day when they were still completely usable as, you know, a daily driver. And he's been uploading for what? He has videos, I know, from like 2012, 2013 at the very least. Even older ones if you include like the early iBook ones. And DankPods himself, he's what, like, I guess like 6 years almost? Same goes for Action Retro. Hugh Jeffries has actually been making videos for far longer, and I can only hope that I can continue to make these awesome videos for you guys. And if you want to see more like commentary content like this, let me know in the comments below. I think I had a really good idea in my mind and it just went in all over the place. So usually, or actually, I pretty much never have a script for a video. Let's say with like the Sony setup, right? Even though I don't have a script, I don't have anything in mind, I know that I want to talk about it. And what I've done with that is that I just started talking about all the components individually. It does also help that I've been recording for as long as I have in order to just, you know, talk in the moment. I will say that I have tried out like a video script in the really early days, and I can see how it'll be helpful, especially for something like, you know, a tutorial, which I believe I have made in the past, you know, with the script. But I found that it just wasn't, at least for me, as natural. I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I actually like talking in the moment. It doesn't matter if I make a mistake or something. Like, that's also something that I was really focused on with early video production. In the really early videos, if I made one mistake, I would record the entire clip again. Like, no exceptions. I eventually moved over to just recording. If there's a mistake, doesn't matter. Just keep on recording. And I gotta say that even though it may take like a couple megabytes of extra space on the iPhone, it is completely worth it, because at least this way I can try to keep my sanity and not have to re-repeat. Oh, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at this, and then I'd have to re-record. Oh, in today's video we're going to be taking a, and then I'd re-record. So yeah, you get the point. Rambling aside, leave a comment down below if you guys want to see more stuff like this, because whenever I talk about like the setup itself, say with like the 2000s tech, for me is just another day at the office, you know, I'm focusing on the setup itself. But at least with this, we can still use said setup, but instead of focusing on the setup itself, we could just talk about, I don't know, more stuff like the YouTube episode here. And in fact, I'm sure that I'm gonna have even more to say about this. This is probably as in-depth that I've done, at least with like, you know, YouTube commentary. I mean, I have more stuff to say about the channel itself. We could talk about other YouTubers that have been awesome to watch. I mean, LGR is a good example. I mean, straight up just no more storage units. That was awesome to see. Now he just has this entire warehouse to film videos. And honestly, I completely get it now. Having all of that space available is awesome, which is exactly why I made the entire setup here, because it gives me a space to use the PowerMac systems and use other hardware as well. Like in the really early days, I would always have to move stuff around because I was mainly just using one area. But ever since I started using this, that was the 3GS, ever since I started using this entire area, there was just so much more potential. It gave me the potential to set up the Sony setup. It gave me the potential to use a G5 as a desk. And I guess this is also a pretty good demonstration, right? So we have the desk right here, and we also have the 2003 desk setup off to the side over here. And it may seem like it's a small area in the thumbnail, but it genuinely is unbelievably helpful to have all of this spare space. Now, this is also not the entire like collection. We have, I mean, like I said, if you want to check out the setups themselves, you can look at the videos about the setups. And if you want to go back in time, I have older videos of said setups before they've achieved their more modern form. I feel like I'm just going to keep on rambling if I don't end this off. So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. And by the way, this was also an album used in the iPod Nano 2008 advertisement that Apple did because it went well with the yellow iPod. And like I said, there I am rambling again. Yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, then consider leaving a thumbs up. If you want to see more awesome content, then consider subscribing. And I also have, as of more recently, a channel membership option. It's completely optional, but it does allow me to help with, or it helps me make more videos for you guys. I'm gonna finish listening to this song, and thanks for watching.